Ready? Hello. I'd like to call the Pinal County Community College District Governing Board public hearing special meeting agenda to actually meeting to order. And this is on our budget. And first thing I'll do is I'll call Vice President Walker to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. All right, next we're going to have a public hearing on the proposed CAC budget, district budget for the year 24, is that right? 24, 25? It should be 25, 26, right? Yeah. This is okay. Correction, 25, 26. So, Director Louisa Ott, she's going to review the 2025-26 district budget. Welcome.
Governing Board President, fellow Governing Board members, Dr. Elliott, Mary Lou, colleagues and guests. You have in your packet the budget, the district budget for the 25-26 fiscal year. Per board policy, it's the responsibility of the Governing Board to approve the college operating budget. The board approved the draft preliminary budget for publication at the April 2025 meeting. So we're proposing that the Governing Board approve the college's budget for the 25-26 fiscal year.
Do you have any questions of the members of the budget? Got all the sheets with us and the also the certificate of adoption has the primary tax rate, secondary tax rate, and also the total budget of $124,240,492. Correct? It's on the sheet of adoption. Any questions? Yes.
Just a comment. I appreciate the presentation being laid out in a way that I can actually understand it, know what's going on. And having said that, I would move to approve.
Okay. Have motion and second to. Yeah. Okay. We do. Okay, I've jumped ahead of myself. So let's go ahead and do a call to the public. I have a gentleman signed up, Steve Etzler, I believe. Steve, would you come up, please? State your address and your name, and then tell us what's on your mind. Now we have 3 minutes total, okay?
Yeah. Good afternoon, board members, administration, community members. I'm Steve Hetzler from Gold Canyon. I'm going to repeat a story I shared with another board about Parkinson's law of triviality, also known as the bicycle shed theory. Parkinson provides the example of a fictional committee whose job was to approve the plans for a nuclear power plant, spending the majority of the time on discussions about relatively minor but easy to grasp issues such as what materials to use for the staff bicycle shed, while neglecting the proposed design of the plant itself, which is far more important and a more difficult and complex task. As this board prepares to adopt a $150 million budget, I've seen no public discussion beyond these numbers. They may refer to a packet unseen by the public and then launch other updates or issues that pale in comparison to the $150 million budget. To top it off, I see the board's considering eliminating its second meeting in 6 months. A third of the half of the budget appears to be capital budget items, which normally require board approval beyond the annual budget approval process. While certain specifics may be restricted to executive session, it's my expectation that this administration board will be willing to share these discussions with the public rather than hide behind closed doors away from public scrutiny. For an educational institution, I find the lack of curiosity rather stunning. I've reached out to administrators and board members to sit down and discuss specifics, but without much success. Most accounts will tell you that the hesitancy to answer questions simply raises more questions. If you don't tell people what's going on, they tend to fill in the blanks. I'll be following up this year with more specific questions and still open to meeting with administrators and board members. If you want to focus on bicycle sheds simply because they're easy to understand or to distract from more important issues, the public needs to know this choice. As I take my findings to the general public, I will share not only what I know, but what has been withheld, regardless of whether this war on transparency continues. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have special meeting adoption of the 2025-2026 budget, district budget. Number 5, adoption of the 2025-2026 district budget. And any discussion on that item?
To adopt.
Yeah, I have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second? I have a second to adopt and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Budget's adopted. Next item, number 6, is adjournment. So I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we'll start on the next one, which is the main meeting of the Pinal County Community College Board Governing Board meeting of May 20th, 2025. And so the first thing I'll do, a call to order, and I'll note that all the members are here of the board. And next, I need adoption of the agenda. Do I have the motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is adopted. Call to the public. Do we have any call to the public besides what we had earlier? Okay. So we'll move on to action items. Consideration of consent agenda. So we have the items on consent, bit of minutes, personal report, combined resolution, deletion of accounts receivable, annual designation of chief fiscal officer, external funded budgets, and budget revisions. Are there any items that anybody wants to be pulled from that consent agenda?
No.
Okay. And do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So made.
Okay, a
Second.
motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. Number 5, discussion, approval, disapproval of the designated reserve for future facilities. Louisa Ott.
Governing Board President, fellow governing board members, Dr. Elliott, Mary Lou, colleagues, and guests. So we're asking that the board designate $35 million of unrestricted net assets, which is part of our cash reserve, as a restricted reserve for future facilities. Are there any questions on this?
Board have any questions?
Just one.
Yes, go ahead.
35 million? And what's the total amount available?
I don't want to give you, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know what we're attempting to do is reserve some this fiscal year and some next fiscal year to be able to accommodate the expenses that are going to be associated with building the new Performing Arts Center. So what the plan is to use college funds to build that facility, and then hopefully regain some funds back from maybe grants, the foundation doing some capital campaigning, stuff like that. So we're hoping to borrow as little money as possible for that facility, and so we're trying to set some money aside to be able to accomplish that and not totally dissolve all of our reserves.
That's not what I asked.
I mean, I know my plan for I wanted to reserve $35 million this year, $35 million next fiscal year, and then hopefully when the construction is done to maybe have around $20 million left. But it's hard to say depending on how much it's going to cost. So after building the Superstition Mountain campus, I would estimate that we have close to 20 million in there. So that's, and I just, from my own experience of where those funds have been over the years, that's the lowest that I would like to leave it at. So in order to be able to continue to have money to build future facilities, we will have to continue to have the board designate money to be able to use on those types of
I think everybody here knows
construction.
exactly what I would like to see some of it spent for.
I know. So we need to continue to try to build it up in future years. Doing that helps it to be not subject to expenditure limitation. But then when you set it aside, that's all you can use it on. So,
I would move to approve the designated reserve facilities in the amount of $35 million.
Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Board chair votes aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That's reserved. Number 5. A discussion, approval, and disapproval of Banner Career Pathway Contract. Louisa?
so we've provided this contract in your board packet. So this is an agreement that academics has requested. They would like to enter into this agreement with Banner Health, which is a nonprofit organization. They would like to create opportunities for participant employees to enroll into Central Arizona College programs through a career pathways. Banner will provide, so Central Arizona College will build Banner. They are asking to be billed with a 10% discount to tuition and fees. They also will pay after any federal, state, or educational grants are applied to the student's account. The programs included are medical assistant, radiologic technology, and certified nursing assistant. So we are requesting that the Board of Governors approve CAC to enter into this contract with the Career Pathways Agreement with Banner Health.
Any questions? There's a lot of information provided in the contract, so good. Any further questions on the program?
I don't have any questions. I just think this is a great opportunity. We've got a captive audience and working with a local partnership all over the county with Banner. I think that's we've never had one of these contracts before? This is the first time? I'm just curious.
Correct. First, at least since I've been at CAC, we've never
Yeah.
had anything, and because it was asking for discounted tuition, we wanted to bring it to the governing board.
We've had agreements and MOUs with them for clinical sites and
Right.
other things like that, but because this involves a discounted tuition rate, the board must approve that because of the approved tuition.
It's only for tuition on these, under this contract, correct?
Correct. So anybody who applies through this career pathways through Banner, so they're Banner employees, and for those specific programs, then they will get the 10% discount on the tuition.
Very good. Any further discussion? Comment?
I think it'd be a wonderful opportunity to have a public-private partnership that will benefit this college for years to come.
Thank you. Any other comments? We have a motion to approve.
So move.
A motion, second?
Second?
A motion is second to approve. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Have a contract.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7, discussion of approval, disapproval to cancel the June 17th, 2025 board meeting. Dr. Elliott.
Good afternoon, President Lopez, governing board members, Mary Lou, faculty, staff, guests. So at your previous board meeting, when you approved to reduce the number of board meetings over the next year, there was maybe some misunderstanding that started this year. So Louisa and her team did an amazing job of getting everything completed that would normally go in the June meeting for today's meeting. And so a majority of the consent agenda items that you typically do in particular, the designation of the chief financial officer, extended budget, funded budgets, budget revisions, and would typically happen in June. But so we had a discussion, and we thought, well, we're not going to have a lot of the robust budget things in June since we had them in May. That perhaps, and given summer and vacation and timing, if the board may consider going ahead and canceling the June meeting, given that we may not have very many agenda items.
Any questions from the board? Because if we had something come up, we'd have a special.
We could always
meeting
have a special
virtually and call. We've done that before. We all get on computer. So, any discussion? You guys all in favor? Motion?
So moved.
Second?
So made.
Okay, motion is second to approve. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we cancel the June 17th meeting. Number 8, discussion, approval, disapproval of granting emeritus status to Dr. or Professor Diane Beecroft. Jackie.
Thank you. It is my honor. Dr. Gilliland could not be here with us today, but it is my honor to share with you some information about Professor Diane Beecroft. She retired from the position of Professor of Chemistry in May of 2017 after serving 22 years as a full-time faculty member. However, she has graciously continued to serve as adjunct faculty to the benefit of the college and our students. She is known for her teaching excellence in chemistry, a discipline central to preparation for students in nursing, allied health, and other science degree pathways. During her time at the college, she served in multiple roles, including division chair, lead faculty, faculty advisor, and as a faculty senate representative. She has been lauded for her dedication to students as well as to her colleagues and the college in general. It is noteworthy that Professor Beecroft began her relationship with CAC as a student who also played volleyball and basketball for the college. Professor Beecroft was nominated by Dr. Karen Henhedy, Interim Dean of Academics.
Yes, we have some good background in our packet. Any questions, comments? Okay, if I have a motion to grant this distinction to the professor?
Yes, I would like to happily grant and approve the granting of the emeritus status to Professor Diane Beecroft. Congratulations.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion is second to approve. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Diane, would you like to come up here, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to our students and the school, of course. So wonderful. Thank you. And next we have reports. Dr. Jackie Elliott, report from the college president on ACCT Certificate of Good Standing. Dr. Elliott, if you're ready.
Oh, for my report, yes.
Yes.
Have lots of things on here. So the first thing I want to share with, earlier this month, we received notice from the Association of Community College Trustees that the CAC board has been recognized as a member of good standing by demonstrating and supporting the standards of good practice for governing boards. So I have that information here that we can pass down and that you can all look at that. The second item on my agenda is that on April 28th, the City Council for the City of Coolidge voted to approve the annexation of the college's property here at Signal Peak into the city. Consequently, the annexation will be effective as of May 29th. So that city moves really quickly. I wonder who their city manager is. A quick update on the Cultural and Performing Arts Center. Several groups have been meetings with Chase and Architecton to understand the needs of the community and the college for the new building. We've also held several sessions that have been focused mostly on the square footage necessary within budget, which has been quite challenging to keep within budget. And more recently, we had a meeting Monday about envisioning the objectives and the goals for the building. As that becomes more solidified, hopefully we'll be able to start breaking ground here pretty soon. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
I always have a question on that one.
Go ahead.
we resolve anything with the insurance company on that?
Yes, with insurance, because we are building new, they did give us one extra year. We have to have an operational auditorium by October of 2027, which is a really tight time frame. However, we will not take the insurance payout until the building is complete because of things that we may do in the new building that weren't to code. In the old building, we could potentially get reimbursed for that as well. So, but it's not the number we were hoping for. So, any other questions on that?
Any other questions?
And the trust is involved in this on, not watching, but they're involved in what's the progress and keeping track of how we're doing as well.
I got a
Yep.
question or statement.
Vice President.
I would like to see to it that we get legal counsel with the insurance company to make sure they're not trying to do something that's...
Yes, we have our attorney who's involved. The Higher Learning Commission, a couple updates there. We received notification from the Higher Learning Commission that we have been approved to expand our prison education program. And also just this week, Monday and Tuesday, we have had a team of peer reviewers on campus assessing our change application for our bachelor's in elementary education program. We should know within a few months if approved, and once approved, we will start preparations for accepting our first cohort into that program for spring of 2026. And I had an exit interview with them this morning right before our luncheon, and they were very, very happy with how responsive the college has been, the faculty and staff they met with, and they were incredibly impressed. So hopefully that all goes well for us. I have one other item. A couple miscellaneous items before I get into the legislative update. I want to extend a congratulations to our own board member, Evelyn Kasuga, for being named the 2025 Shirley Agnos Arizona Town Hall Legacy Award recipient. As many of you know, we had graduation on Friday, and we had a record number of students participating in commencement ceremonies, with 211 students walking at the 8 a.m. ceremony and 130 students walking at the 10:30 a.m. ceremony. This brought the total to 341 students. So I'll answer any questions before I move on to the legislative updates.
All right. Any questions before we go into the challenges facing the school? Go ahead.
So all of these will sound familiar to you, but some of them actually now have some type of closure. So Senate Bill 1020 that was required community colleges to allow an individual with a concealed carry weapons permit to carry on campus. That was vetoed by the governor. Senate Bill 1036, public resources influencing elections. As you recall, this currently the Attorney General or a county attorney can file an action in Superior Court against a public entity if either of those parties have evidence to suggest a public entity used public resources to influence an election. This bill, however, allows any resident to bring action in Superior Court, which was vetoed by the governor. So it's a moot point at this point. The adult education programs, this is the AC4. This is a bill that we help sponsor, working with Goodwill and Graduation Alliance and looking for $18 million to support these three entities as they do adult basic education. Right now, it has passed the Senate and passed appropriations. It's just waiting on committee and third read. This is one that we really are going to have to get more information on, but it's Senate Bill 1504, and it requires enhancing reporting for community colleges to specify in our baccalaureate degree programs which degree program students are enrolled in and projected enrollment by degree program, and that was signed by the governor. So the challenging part of that is the projection, but we'll work through it. Senate Bill 1525, and again, AC4 worked with worked on this bill, and it allows CTEDs, and the reason we worked with them because it was really going to shut out community colleges, but we came to an agreement on some language. And in this bill allows for the CTEDs to work with the university in offering a course after first conferring with their local community college president in writing to see if the community college can offer the course either directly or through another college partnership. And that was signed by the governor. Senate Bill 1694 instructs the treasurer to withhold state funds from any institution of higher education if that entity has programs teaching on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the governor did veto this bill as well. House Bill 2018 expands the Arizona Teachers Academy to private universities, Grand Canyon University and Arizona Christian College, and appropriates $10 million to the Academy Fund. And again, this is passed the House. It's waiting Senate committee and third read. House Bill 2058 indicates that a higher education institution that requires a student to submit documentary proof to enroll must allow the student to be exempted from immunizations if the student completes documentation indicating they understand the risks of not being immunized. And this was vetoed by the governor. House Bill 2677 allows any school district or charter school in the state who provides middle school instruction to offer CTE courses for the next 3 school years. In offering the CTE programs, the district or charter can enter into an IGA with a community college that offers ADE, Arizona Department of Ed, approved Perkins courses. This has passed the House. It passed Senate Education and Senate Appropriations. It is waiting Senate rules. House Bill 2765, this expands the Arizona Teachers Academy, and it was signed by the governor as well. House Bill 2867, it prohibits anyone affiliated with a community college from teaching or promoting any conduct of anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic conduct that constitutes harassment or discrimination, and that creates a hostile education or work environment. This passed the House, barely, passed Senate Education, and is waiting Senate committee. The second one, House Bill 2880, is unauthorized encampments bill. This one prohibits an individual from occupying an encampment on a university or community college campus without prior approval of the university or community college. Additionally, a community college or university employee shall direct the individual to dismantle the encampment or leave campus, warn them they are in violation of criminal trespassing, and if they refuse to comply, initiate legal action to have them removed from campus. And discipline any students who refuse to comply pursuant to the school's code of conduct. This was signed by the governor. This House Bill 2927 had to do with public records, and it requires the minutes of any public meeting to be available online within 3 working days after the meeting and remain online for 5 years. It removed the provision requiring a call to the public if the meeting is held through technological devices. So this was vetoed by the governor as well. And the last is there's a dual enrollment bill that is that we have worked on with Senator Leach, asking for $5 million in appropriations, and we haven't had any word on that yet. So happy to answer any questions you may have as we.
It's a lot of information. Any questions from anybody?
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, so a lot.
It was a very busy legislative season.
And this is towards the end because
Yes.
they're still, it took some time and I think they'll come back. So a lot of strikers come up at this time of the year. So I think they're working on the budget now.
Yeah.
So they're really hot and heavy on the budget, trying to get that passed. So I know we've canceled other meetings because they're working on the budget. So no questions? All right, we'll move on. Business Affairs Report. Louisa? First is a monthly budget report.
Thank you, Governing Board President, Governing Board members, Dr. Elliott, Mary Lou, colleagues, and guests. So you have in your packet the monthly budget report. This reflects the year-to-date through March of 2025. March of 2025 shows the district's operating fund expenditures are at 67.38% of total budget. This is a decrease of 1.98% from March of 2024, which was at 69.36%. Any questions on the monthly budget report?
Those real minor fluctuations, that's pretty standard especially towards the end of reaching the end of the year. Any questions? Nope. Okay, no questions. So next one's awarded bids. I know you have that in here too.
So you have in your packet all of the awarded bids over 100,000.
Right.
Are there any questions on that report?
Any questions on the bids? Nope. We're all good? No, it looks like everything's good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And next, board outcomes report. Dr. Jeannie Cardenas.
All right, it's
Jenny.
actually Louisa and I.
Jenny.
So Director Louisa Ott is going to come up with me. Executive Director?
No.
CFO?
That's okay.
Thank you.
They know
That's
who I am.
okay. I heard my old last name and I think I got
I know.
confused. That's okay. All right. So President Lopez, Governing Board, Mary Lou, Dr. Elliott, colleagues, students, and guests, we're excited to be able to share some updates on the board monitoring reports. This is outcome 2 that we'll be talking about, which is access and affordability and ensuring affordable access to innovative post-secondary education. So we have 4 different slides that we're going to present for you. And the first is the percentage of underserved students enrolling at CAC. So one way that the college demonstrates access is through the enrollment of our underserved student populations. And historically, approximately 50% of students enrolled at CAC came from underserved backgrounds within our service area. But in the 24-25 year, that number rose to 57%, which is an increase that exceeds both the national as well as the Arizona Community College rates. So we're very excited that is the case. And with me today, I have our director for outreach, Scott Hamilton, who is going to share a few of the recent and planned improvements that his department has in place.
All right, good afternoon, Governing Board. Thank you for having me. So recent improvements that we have been doing is we have had an increased presence in our high schools, just physically going into our schools and working with students. We have reintroduced and restarted events post-COVID, so our high school counselor breakfast, rally days, getting school staff and students out onto our campus to get them exposed to our programming. We have improved communication from our application to the first advising appointment through our customer relationship manager. So we have a new software, and we've been developing that, rolling that out. We've created clearer pathways for new students to get started at CAC by using new student registration days, where students can come in, check off every box on their advising checklist, and really are just kind of waiting for classes to start. And then we've also enhanced and expanded our early college programming to just fold more seniors and high school juniors into college programming. Our planned improvements for the next upcoming academic years are increasing our push-in workshops offerings to high schools to create pre-collegiate programs throughout the county. We are also providing additional counselor training to assist in developing a college-going culture on our partner high schools, and then continuing to refine and improve our communication to new and prospective students through that new customer relationships manager. So, thank you. Any questions?
Any questions of the board?
No questions, but obviously it's working. All that you're doing, that's a huge jump to go from 50 to 57. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, numbers tell the story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was on it? Tuition fees is right. Go one more. Go back one more. Okay, there we go. That's the one I'm looking for. So I'm reporting on the stewardship piece of it. Oh, wait, no, that's not it.
The one right after.
Why is it like out of order? I need the tuition and fees one, sorry. That one's it, yes. Okay, sorry about that. This is for access and affordability. So we're wanting to ensure affordability with our tuition and fees. So our improvements were that the governing board approved the same tuition rate for last academic year and for 2 years in a row. So we're continuing to try to keep it at a lower affordable rate. We're always looking to have it at below the average, because that's what the board outcome is, below the average of all Arizona community colleges. So on the graph, you can see that that $2,836 is the calculated annual cost of education at the average for all Arizona community colleges, and CAC is at $2,250. So we're pretty well below where we want to be on that one.
All right, so the next one that we have is related to the percentage of Pell recipients at CAC. So one of the indicators as well that shows us if we are accessible to students based on their financial components are the number of Pell recipients. And in the past, we did have about 50% of our population. This is in past years. In more recent years, though, we were in the 20s and 30s, and we're excited that this year we did see an increase, a notable rebound by 8% of the number of Pell recipients that we have. And one of the things that we thought about first, I had spoken to Jose Dagnino, our director for financial aid, who's going to talk to you in just a minute, and we were trying to determine what do we think really contributed to that 8%. And one of the first things that Jose thought of and I thought of was the FAFSA simplification process and the changes that we've seen at the IRS. What we quickly noticed, though, is if you take a look at the other community colleges across the state, they saw a decline in the past year. So it doesn't seem as though that necessarily was the primary impact. So we started to dig deeper, and Jose's going to share some things that his department and the collaborators and different people that they work with across the district have done to improve the number of Pell recipients that we have. So, Jose.
Good afternoon, everybody. Governing Board President, Governing Board members, President Elliott, Mary Lou, colleagues and guests. There was a lot of work that goes into financial aid. Being in it, we don't really see it as much, but this opportunity kind of gave us a step to kind of step out and really evaluate what we have been doing. What we have been doing is just improved and targeted communication to our students. So we want to make sure that they're connected to financial aid and enrollment services. Let them know that they have a friend in financial aid. We're here as their resource to make sure that they understand what their eligibility is. Creating consistency across the department so that anytime a student goes to any other processor, so they're getting the same message. Our processors do have alpha sections, so the students do have a designated financial aid representative for themselves. That also helps. Our continuity, our preserved institutional knowledge, and just trying to make sure that we're aware of all the ever-changing regulations in financial aid, so when we do have to pivot, we're able to pivot and pay attention to those changes and make sure that we're, one, compliant for one, and make sure that the students are aware of the who, what, why, and where of their stuff may be changing and eligibility and all of that. We don't want our students to be confused, because then they might get upset depending on if they don't understand. So we try to do our best to make sure we understand first. That way we can communicate consistently to our students what the changes are. We have adopted the Calendly system, so if students need to make appointments with our staff, they can do that. We are transitioning to a new software for that, which we will be part of as well. But that's another way our students can stay connected to us at whatever times they need. They can make those appointments. Some planned improvements for the future. We've just started our Award Spring product, which is our scholarship software engagement product. So that's going to help us look for other dollars in addition to Pell Grant dollars. The Stop the Drop that we started this summer identifies those students that are potentially at jeopardy of being dropped from their classes. This report specifically identifies if they have a FAFSA on file, so then my team can go and look at those specific files and see if we can't save them from being dropped. Working with our outreach staff to make sure that we get the FAFSAs when they're graduating high school. That way they're not at the end of the term or really when our term begins trying to figure all of that out. So we want to make sure that the students are prepared, have an answer of what their eligibility is before the fall begins, and just improve reporting tools, again, to identify students that are in need of our assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, there's a lot of paperwork that goes into FAFSA. I've done that a couple times, probably 3.
Good job.
So,
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That's great.
Okay, next we go back to stewardship, and this one is, demonstrating stewardship through the expenditures per full-time equivalent student. So you can see in the figure that CAC still remains above the goal. So we're looking at it being time to reconsider the goal, looking at inflation, advancing technology that's necessary in order for us to create the world-class learning environment that we want. We do have some recent improvements in the area, though. We're doing continued educational awareness of the expenditure limitation for the CAC community. We did create a budget planning document. This was recommended by the Higher Learning Commission. This document defines the steps involved in our budget planning process, how we define our goals, and how we identify gaps. How do we develop strategies to close those gaps, and how will we prioritize spending, enact strategies, and allocate resources and check performance. And it's just a circle of all of those activities. We have made some improvements in our internal budget planning process by using templates for all of the departments to make requests, note priorities, and how their requests align with our strategic goals. And it also is going to help us with transparency with requests compared to the approved amounts of the budget. This was something that the Higher Learning Commission also recommended, that we have that transparency of closing that circle of letting everyone know what was approved from their requests. Things that we plan to do are we want to evaluate the calculation of the current goal of the expenditure per footsie, as I mentioned before. We want to look at industry standards as well as other Arizona community colleges to see where we're at, and maybe our goal needs to be adjusted a little bit. We want to continue to enhance our budget process to excel as a financial plan more than anything, an operational guide, and a communication tool. We are looking at starting to create some financial dashboards to enhance the transparency and support data-driven decisions by college leadership and management.
I just wanted to close by saying, and I hope I can speak for Louisa too, that we've reported out on the things that our different areas such as financial aid and outreach have done, and the finance area, but it truly has been a collaborative effort. There have been so many different departments who have helped, for instance, with outreach and with helping to encourage students to complete the FAFSA, both in the classroom, our faculty members, as well as different departments across the district. So although the information was presented from these two directors, it truly has been a collaborative effort, and I would say the same, and that we've heard so much more from finance around budget over the last couple of years and how we can better plan. So any questions?
That's great. Any questions? Yes, Dr. Rodriguez.
Just a comment, I would support the concept of reevaluating that goal. I think it's been unrealistic for a long time. And I would suggest that when you consider what a new goal ought to look like, it ought not to be a static goal. It ought to be tied to some index, because the fact is, anything is going to get overrun by inflation and other factors. It's static. We're going to be constantly something we can't get to.
Great. Any other comments? It's a good comment. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I really like that, all the things that are the improvements and all the planned improvements, a lot of transparency and things that are important. So wonderful, good. Okay, next we have call to the board. That's where board members get to talk about their districts and things they're working on or anything like that. First I'll call on board member Ordeorn.
Nothing from me this month, thank you.
Okay, board member Mueling.
Just congratulations again on a beautiful day on Friday. It was my first, so I got to enjoy it to its fullest extent. And I will tell you, the two young people who spoke were incredibly impressive. And so thank you, all of you.
Board member Kasuga.
I would just ditto what Supervisor
Yeah, that's right.
Euling just said, because I know we were all moved to tears by our student speakers, and they just were so representative of what you all collectively do on a day-to-day basis. And, you know, you got to just pat yourselves on the back, so congratulations.
Great. Vice President Walker.
One comment that is extremely important but often overlooked is a document from the history of our nation. The first sentence of the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Now, the only thing in there that can't be guaranteed is the results of your pursuit of happiness. It all depends directly on how much effort you're willing to put into the goals that you have set for yourself. And happiness is a relative thing. And so I'd just like to say that this college campus and this organization is an excellent tool by which we may pursue happiness. Approach it with vigor. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Where's the wisdom, right? Yeah, and I would also really enjoy the graduation. I really enjoy seeing the looks on the students' faces when they're graduating, all that work they put in, and it's just really enjoyable to see their smiles and their parents that are in the audience and they're rooting them on and did all those things. So I think that was awesome. I also went to the nurse pinning event before that, and I always try to attend those because it's so important. And I think it's excellent to see all the dedication, hard work, and we really need nurses. So we need everybody. But of course, the nursing industry is under a lot of pressure. And also the discussion of the Penn Center is really exciting to move forward with that. Looking forward to those things. It's really good. And with that, I think our next item is executive session where we're going to do CAC President Annual Evaluation and Contract Negotiations. So what I need is someone to make a motion to go into executive session.
So made.
Do I have a second? I have a motion second to go into executive session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? We're in executive session. So thank you all for being here, and we'll work on that next. Just a second to go back into regular session. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Chair votes aye. Opposed? We're back in regular session. Okay, item number 14, discussion, approval, disapproval of extending CAC President employment contract. Okay, any discussion or motions?
Motion to approve
With,
the goals and the contract.
so add a year and then approve the goals as discussed. Okay, is that the motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second to.
Sheila seconded.
Okay, and then, so we have a motion to add a year and also approve the goals that we discussed in our session. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Anybody opposed? Nope. Motion carries. Another year and goals are approved. All right. Well, with that, I will adjourn this meeting. So we're done. Thank you so much for coming back in.
Yeah, cool.
Stay and sign something.
Oh, we got to sign the
Oh, Luisa's, that's why
Yeah.
Luisa stayed.
Stephanie
Or
has
Stephanie has the paperwork.
No, let them all sign and then I'll sign.
drag.